Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council. As you may recall, last year, actually about a year ago, we passed an ordinance. It was ordinance number 1437. And that ordinance established the framework that allowed us to create residential controlled parking areas. Residential controlled areas, if you can think about it, if anyone's ever been to Miami Beach, right off the commercial areas, you're not allowed to park in those residential areas. And that ordinance was modeled on Miami Beach's ordinance and other ordinances around the country. And what the ordinance does is establish the framework to allow us to do the same thing here in the city. Where there are issues in particular neighborhoods, we can establish residential parking areas with different rules regarding those areas based on what that area needs. So tonight you have the first of two. The way we set up the ordinance last year was that these parking areas could be brought up in two ways. They could be brought up by the manager, or they could be brought up by the residents. Residents can petition. 51% of the residents in an area can bring up one of these areas. The first one that you'll hear tonight is on the Arch Creek East residential parking area. That one actually began. And for full disclosure, I actually own property on that block, so I actually saw those problems, spoke to Councilman Galvin about the problems, and at the same time, we had residents coming in discussing the issues on that street. So what you have on Arch Creek East is there's just not enough parking spaces, and so what happens in the evening is people are parked diagonally, causing a danger. They're parked across the bicycle lanes. So if you're riding a bicycle late at night, you could actually, yeah, they're diagonally, sometimes perpendicular across the street, and that's because they don't have parking. Additionally, what Councilman Galvin pointed out, and we found out later from talking to the residents, is there are seven townhome areas along that street. Those townhomes have parking in front of the buildings. For whatever reason, when those townhomes were created, those parking spaces weren't assigned to those unit holders. So now, in those particular parking areas, you could wake up one day and someone could park their car in front of your house and go on a week-long vacation, and you can't park in front of your house. So this ordinance is meant to deal with all those issues. So the first thing the ordinance does is immediately, so you can break the. No, we're just dealing
The
right
same
now with
thing for both items.
well, no, again, we got to treat them differently because there's different issues for different parking areas. So I'll talk about the other one in a second. But on this one, what it does first is to deal with the issue with the issue with the townhomes. It creates 7 sub parking areas, and what it does is, and coincidentally, those areas are Northeast 20th Court, which is also called Pelican Court, Northeast 21st Court, which is Ibis Court, Northeast 22nd Court, which is Dolphin Court, Northeast 23rd Court, Manatee Court, Northeast 23rd Place, which is Osprey Place, Northeast 24th Court, which is Herring Court, and Northeast 24th Place, which is Fish Place. It creates sub-areas for each of those townhomes. So each of those townhome areas can have their own parking area. You can restrict parking to only the residents and visitors of those townhomes. So that's the first thing it does. With regard to the rest of the street, what it does is immediately prohibits the parking of commercial vehicles at night. One of the issues that you have, and I don't have the photographs, but we share them with the residents. But there are nights when there are school buses are taking 3 or 4 spaces, and residents have no place to park on that street. They're parking on the grass. They're parking on the swales. So immediately what this does, once it's passed, is that it would prohibit the commercial vehicles. And then the other issue we had, and Chief can attest to this, is you had folks, and I swear it's people going on vacations, but you have folks who park in those spaces, and they were there literally for months. I think there was one vehicle that was parked there from December till just a couple weeks ago. And I think I saw the sign, the police had put the sign, so I think they actually may have either towed it away or the person finally moved. So the second thing this does is that it immediately requires that you can no longer park in any space for more than 72 hours. The final thing that this
For more than 72.
more than 72 hours.
You know what some of them does?
They'll just move.
You put the stamp and then move the car
So when
to
we had the
another
discussion,
location.
the discussion that we had when we talked to the residents at the town hall meeting was, this isn't going to solve every problem on that street. We're not gonna solve everything on the street. There are other things that we think we need to do in terms of public works, creating other spaces. This is just a step, but it will help a little bit, and then we'll do other things. So the last thing that this does is
Why don't we create pay parking with decal for only for residents living in the area?
That's the last thing that this does is authorizes the manager and the administration to create a parking permit program. What that parking permit program would do immediately is in the east side of the street, there are city parking spaces that are reserved for people who are using the reserve during the day. You're not allowed to park there at night because without some sort of permit parking, you don't know who's parking there. If we do a permit parking program, then we know that people with the permits actually live there and can park there overnight, and then obviously in the morning they have to move and allow it. So that's what this ordinance does. As I said, I believe the councilman will speak and express his support of it, but the residents do support it. I'm not sure if there's any residents here tonight to support it, but I know all of the homeowners associations all support this. And so we ask for your support and
Sure, no, and I just want to thank you, Mr. City Attorney. This was something that we floated as a neighborhood idea years ago, and were told by previous city attorneys that it wasn't possible. So I thank you for investing the time that you've done to make this happen. We've had at least 2 homeowner meetings with the Arch Creek East Neighborhood Association to sort of vet this. They're having another one on St. Patty's Day night if you're not doing anything. But this will go a long way towards starting to, create some barriers for people when they're trying to park, exactly like the city attorney said. So I'm thankful that he's invested the time and hopeful that council will support it tonight.
Thank you very much. And do we have any questions before we move it to the public? Move to the public. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is now closed. Can I hear a motion for approval?
I think Bob is coming.
Oh,
Good evening again. Bob Pashon, 13005 Coronado Terrace. I think this is a wonderful idea, but the devil's always in the detail. We have had come out of the Planning Commission a definition of commercial vehicles for over a year, which we don't have any longer. A commercial vehicle is any vehicle that's used for business. The Uber driver who uses his car for Uber, he's a commercial vehicle. Eddie Montgomery hates me for this, but her car is a commercial vehicle. Bus is a commercial vehicle. We have a definition. What's going to happen tonight, this is a great idea, but we've got to work out some issues. Where do the guests park? How many parking pass decals do I get? So I paid $600,000 for my condo, and I get 1 parking place or 2, and I have kids. I mean, you've got to get some parameters around that. We have 2 of these tonight, and just with the commercial vehicle item, we've got on this one, we say commercial vehicles not allowed. Again, the Uber guy can't park there. On the other location, we defined a commercial vehicle, no commercial vehicles allowed, but based upon definitions of section 33-124 of the Miami-Dade County Code of Ordinances. So we have 2 parking situations, and we define commercial vehicles differently. We can't do that. By the way, the next one that comes up, I'll talk about that in a minute. That's crazy. If I've got I can park a bus in front of my place if I give permission. But this, I just think it needs some more work. There's a lot of questions that need to be asked because once we turn the dogs loose and give people places to park, because that's what they want. But I think there's so many loose ends and details that just need to be worked out. Thank you.
thank you very much. Public hearing is still open. Public hearing is now closed. Councilman,
Move approval.
Second.
a quick question. Those regulation is for public parkings, right?
This is all public parking, yes.
All public parkings, okay.
I'd just like to
Yeah.
ask a question, because I'm in total agreement with Mr. Pashon in that we have a problem with our definition of commercial vehicle, because right now, like it says, if you use a car for going to business, it becomes a commercial vehicle. So, Annie, your car is a commercial vehicle. And anyway, that's one thing where I'm not saying we shouldn't have this in there, but we do need to tighten up and go back to a definition.
How can you
commercial.
determine
We-
a
there-
commercial
there's-
vehicles?
I mean, that's
If
just
the
our
person has a,
definition.
the person have a private title, it doesn't say commercial,
Actually,
and they have a private
don't ha- we
insurance,
don't
how
have
you
a-
gonna
we
tell
don't have
them,
to
no,
do
it's a
any of that.
commercial?
Miami-Dade County has a definition of what a commercial vehicle is, and that's
Okay.
what's quoted in the other ordinance.
So we should,
We left it out in the first one, but we can change that for second reading.
okay, so we do that.
whatever the
And I
county-
just have one other question on F. There should be no overnight parking on 135th Street between 7 and 7, except by residential visitor parking. Should there be no parking or overnight? So if you come without a permit and you just go over to have dinner and it's like 8 o'clock and you stay there till 10, that's not overnight, is it? So is that really the intention?
No, they can have a guest spot.
No, if they don't have a guest spot,
Ticket.
so if you just go and you park your car there at 8 o'clock, you are just absolutely not allowed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's not overnight. That
Right.
should just be no parking between 7 and 7 if you don't have a permit.
Okay.
It's really, I mean, overnight
We
is
can take
when
the
you.
word overnight
Yeah,
out.
these
but-
are little details I think we can work out
Okay,
as
well, I'm
it's
just bringing it up
implemented.
before you-
The whole goal is to keep people from parking in front of townhouses that aren't supposed to be
No,
there.
I agree, but I
and
just think it
that's-
should be, I mean, just looking at it in a different way. Someone parks there at 8 o'clock, they go there and they watch a football game and they leave at 9:30 or 10 o'clock or 12. Hey, I didn't stay there overnight, I just was there for a couple hours. So that's, I think we should just change the word overnight, just a recommendation. So, just don't park there if you don't have the permit. I think it's a great idea, you did a good job with it.
Thank you very much. And
And it's only the first reading, so.
Councilwoman,
No question.
no question?
No question. No
Vice
comment.
Mayor.
I second it.
Hmm?
I already second the motion.
Okay. Madam Clerk, there's a motion and a second on the floor.
I have a motion made by Councilman Galvin to approve the item at tab J. The motion was seconded by Councilwoman Estime Irvin. Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Desome, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Estime Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Item passes with a 5-0 vote on
Thank you,
first reading.
council members.
Tab K, proposed ordinance, first reading of the mayor and city council of the city of North Miami, Florida, establishing the Griffin Biscayne Park Estates 1 controlled residential parking area on Northeast 127th Street between Northeast 4th Avenue and Northeast 6th Avenue, and on Northeast 4th Avenue between Northeast 125th Street and Northeast 129th Street, pursuant to Chapter 11 of the City of North Miami Code of Ordinances entitled Licenses and Business Regulations at Article 12, Controlled Parking Residential Areas, to limit parking to those who live in the zoned areas, providing for inclusion in the code of the City of North Miami, and providing for an effective date. Tab K.
Thank you. So Mayor, Council, as we discussed, this is the second one, and this is exactly why I said we have to deal with each of these differently. So the issue you had in the last ordinance was that there were people parking at night and the residents couldn't park at night. So that was dealing with the issue of parking at night. Here you have a different issue. There's a business located nearby these residents. The overflow from that business, the overflow parking for that business tends to end up on these residents' lawns, in front of their homes, on their swales. And typically what happens if you go down that street, those swales are destroyed and then the resident gets cited by code. So this came, again, this came to us in different ways. It came to us, I believe I had a discussion first with Mayor Bieneme about it. And then we also have an ongoing issue with that commercial business, and we identified that this was an issue. So what this ordinance does is, again, it prohibits parking during the day in front of those homes. And we had a discussion with the residents yesterday, and so the boundaries on second reading will probably change slightly. We had it going from Sixth Avenue to 4th Avenue. After discussions with the residents, they said they didn't think it should go as far as 4th Avenue. The idea behind going all the way to 4th Avenue is that we didn't want to restrict parking up to 5th Avenue and then cause people to park all the way on 4th, because now that's out of the residential. So we said just go down 2 blocks. The feedback was that people aren't going to park 2 blocks away. So, based on whatever you all decide tonight, we can restrict it that way. And then also, on the east side, I think we kept in some commercial property. So the next time you see this, it'll be more of a rectangular space. But at any rate, what this will do is it will prohibit parking in that area without a residential parking permit from the hours of 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And then also no commercial vehicle parking on that area without the permission of the residents between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. And then again, obviously, we'll create a parking permit program. As I talk to the residents, none of the parking permit program. This isn't something new. Other cities have done it. We haven't done it yet, and so we're going to be working through this with these two first areas. We'll learn a lot, and hopefully it'll make things a lot easier in the next ones. So immediately here, what the residents should see is hopefully the signs are a nominal amount, and there will be signs in the next coming weeks or months that say no parking between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Sometime after that, we will issue some sort of permit program while working with the residents. These will be a nominal fee. After reviewing other cities, the fees are typically around $25 or $50 a year for the stickers, and then you're also issued some visitor stickers. So we'll work that out with the neighbors. Like I said, they have a pretty active group. I know some of them are here tonight, and we'll work with them through all the processes. But we're not imposing anything on the residents that they don't want themselves, because again, for some of these areas, it's going to be a voluntary thing that the residents come to us saying we want this. So in this case, this is something that we're doing through the manager's office, but we still want the residents to support it and be part of it and want this in their area.
There's a quick question. You say issue permit for that area. Everybody have a big driveway. I think the biggest issue is
Your mic is not on, sir.
the biggest issue is the red, white, and blue.
And that's
As soon as it's
Right.
closed,
Right.
everything
So-
is fine. People have enough parking on the driveway.
That's what we thought, and that's what that's why the discussions with the residents are useful. We thought the same thing, that you wouldn't have to have a permit program, until one resident brought up the fact that he can only park one vehicle on his property. He only has space for one vehicle on his property, so when people come and visit him, they have to park on the swale. So a person like that, if there's no residential parking permit program there, even if you prohibit parking, there's no way for the police to know whether that person's there as a visitor of this person or not, unless there's some sort of
Yeah,
indication.
but
in terms
you're not
of
gonna destroy the swells in the area for just one person. Sometimes, what, they put a fence, they don't want cars to get into the driveway,
Right.
and they just wanna park on the swells.
Again, this is
The area, I know the area.
yeah. This is
pretty much,
if we reduce the area to the boundaries that we're talking about, it's not a whole. It's not
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
group. So we
But
can
you have
talk.
to
We can
extend it
literally.
to Fourth, because if you stop
that's what I
that
think.
between 6th and 5th,
It'll
what's
go
gonna
on to Fourth.
happen? They're gonna park.
That's what I.
on the other
That's what I
side.
thought. But the
And
feedback
it's
we had.
since it's Councilwoman Marie-Estime Yevin, you live in that's your district, that's your item.
Yes, the people voted for me. I believe I do represent District 3.
I thought
Thank you.
I always thought that's me.
Oh,
That's why.
You want to switch? Oh, thank you. Are you going to open the public hearing, or you want me to speak on it?
No, you can speak, and that after that we're gonna open it to the public,
No,
unless you wanna hear from the public first.
Please, because I have some residents
Okay,
that
thank
are
you
in
very
support
much.
of that
Public
that would
hearing
like
is
to speak.
open on
Thank
tab
you.
K.
Edwin Alvarez at Med 555 Northeast 127th Street, and just wanted to express my support for this. I am the second house, one of the second houses in from Red, White, and Blue, and I can't tell you the atrocities of parking that happen on a daily basis, from the swales to people parking literally in my driveway. And I am one of the fortunate ones that has more than one parking, or allows for more than 1-2 spaces. But I also, when I first moved in, there was one of the people who got permissions to plant trees there to prevent the parking, and that helped a little bit. But I've had people literally park on the trees, on the flowers. And so that, in conjunction with, as you mentioned, Red, White, and Blue, and everything that comes from Red, White, and Blue, from trash and carts and everything else, I am fully in support for anything that helps with that. And I do want to ask you, when you say when Red, White, and Blue goes away, When is that?
Probably never.
I don't know if that, I don't know if you have a date or if that's something that everyone should know, because
Did I
until
say
then,
that?
we're dealing with it.
Okay.
And again, I do want to say business is good, right? I'm not trying to say they should go out of business, but we also live there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Laura Hill, 13075 Griffin Boulevard. I'm actually very supportive of this. That's been a problem area in our neighborhood, especially when it comes to the swales. The parking, that's one of the most popular stores in North Miami. It makes a ton. It makes more than most of the shops downtown. But the parking is all over the place. It's outgrown that parking lot. And as he said, all of the swales are dead and derelict and compounded, and it's just a bad situation. And I know the city has invested a lot of money into our neighborhood, and it's looking great. But that particular area has always sort of suffered behind the progress of the rest. And I think a lot of it does come from red, white, and blue and the problems with parking. And so if this is a viable solution, I'm all for it, and I can't wait to see if it makes an impact. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Public hearing is open. Public hearing is now closed.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
we have a point of privilege. I have another resident. Did you want to speak? Yes. Go ahead and speak, if you would allow me to have that. He lives actually on the block, so I want to give him an opportunity to speak. Please, thank you.
Good evening. It's my first time here. My name is Cesar Castaneda. I live in 550 Northeast 127th Street. And one of the neighborhoods affect to the people come to the business at the corner on a live, and they parking on my yard every time. So I think I'm so happy if you approve this. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Again, thank you, City Manager. Thank you for coming up or helping us out with this ordinance. You know, as you've heard, the resident of that immediate area would like to have that, so I look for your support. We know that it's not perfect. We know we'll be dealing through some issues, but I just ask that my colleagues support this. Thank you.
Thank
Can I
you
ask a
very much.
question?
Yes.
Okay, two questions on this one. So this one says is parking, by residential visitor parking permit only. On C, it says, no commercial vehicles without the permission of a resident or owner living in the area. How are we gonna know if they have permission? Someone goes in there and you,
Well, I mean, what that's meant to
That's
cover
kind of
is
like
if
code's gonna
FedEx
be-
comes to deliver a package to you, I mean, that you have to assume that that's permission. If there's a worker, doing plumbing work at your property, you have to assume there's permission. Otherwise, if it's a semi-truck parked there, then we're probably gonna assume that unless the owner said that semi-truck could park there, that it's not, it's without
So
permission.
you've got some code enforcement
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
that
that's,
makes it-
we'll have to
so-
work through it.
Okay, one other question, just, it's okay however you wanna do it. So on 127th Street, you are precluding this up to 6th Avenue. And you've got this piece of, I guess you have swale, I'm not sure, maybe you don't have swales there, but I see cars parked between the red, white, and blue, and between the church. And that's 127th, and that's, I guess, west of 6th Avenue. And it looks like an apartment building
In
there.
front, you're talking about 550. What happened? The pink one.
No, I'm just looking at the street between red, white, and blue, which is just like the swales just north of red, white, and blue, and just south of where the church is. So you have you have that street there.
Mm-hmm.
No, no. I'm sorry, you,
No, what are you talking
So
about?
what I'm saying, and I'm looking
Wait,
at the,
wait,
I'm
no,
looking at the picture, and I do
no.
see, is that cars, it looks like cars are parked there
Yeah, but on the church don't want people to park in front of the church.
right.
on the side.
On the side, they don't want that.
Do they,
It's parking in front of a gate.
so do they want
And the
residents?
church closed the gate.
Correct.
Okay, do they want residents parked there with a permit?
No.
No, it's only red, white, and blue people just for a few minutes.
Okay, on the street, you know,
I know.
okay.
I'm the one that paved that area. We pave it. We pave it and put
So,
and some
but residents,
drainage in there.
but residents with, or their guests with parking permits could park there conceivably.
I think people temporary parking at that area is
I'm not
okay,
sure
huh?
exactly what kind of parking is there.
like in
so-
front of the church is okay, right?
Right.
In front of the church.
Yeah, you have to give a point of privilege
Okay.
to.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind,
Okay.
because the picture I'm seeing, I see 3 cars in a row parked there, if you blow up the picture. So I don't know if that's parking or just traffic. I think it's parking.
And Mr. City Attorney, that's been it's from 6 to 4, right?
That's how it is.
So
Eight to
right
8.
now, it goes, if you look at the exhibit A that's part of your package, right now, it goes all the way from Dixie to Fourth.
What do you mean from Dixie?
If you look, it's along West Dixie, all the way to Fourth. But the feedback we got was to leave out that part that's commercial, including the church, and start from Fifth, I'm sorry.
Yeah, in
start from
front of that
6th,
apartment.
Right, 6 to
Yeah, I
Fourth,
agree
right.
with that.
So do
Yeah,
you,
yeah.
do you see that little space
Yeah, that's
just
been
west of 6 on 127th?
yeah, that's place where we pave that street like in front of the church. People we allow people
park
to
there
park
now.
there, yeah.
So people can park it on the
Yes.
swale?
Yes, at that area. It's paved.
Okay, so now we have,
Temporary parking.
okay, but according to this ordinance, which is fine, I'm just trying to get clear. So it's saying that you can only park there if you are a resident and have,
That's
if
not
you're a
include that.
resident with a-
That's not include that area.
it is, because it's west, because you've got it says 127th Street between 4th and 6th. So that little place between.
You know, in
red,
front
white,
of the
and blue.
church, the problem we have in the church, we have those big trucks parking there for days, like in front of the church.
So nobody can park there now?
I think temporary
I mean,
people
I'm
come
just
in.
asking,
Let's
getting
let
clear.
let's bring it back for review in 6 months. If it's not working, we can fix it, but
Yeah.
otherwise, we.
Well, it's a first reading, so if you wanna
Yeah.
look at it and
Yeah.
get it.
Right.
Let's pass it like that, and then in 2 weeks you will come up with making sure
Right.
you
Oh,
tell us
and
whether it's yes or
I'm
no
glad you
for
pointed
that
that
area.
out. It probably will not be at the next meeting. It'll probably be the April meeting because we have to give 14 days notice to all of the residents there. So we'll be sending a letter to every resident that these ordinances affect,
Okay.
so that they'll know with the letter in the mail. So it'll
Okay.
probably be the April meeting if this comes back.
Thank you very much. And if we're done with the conversation, can I hear a motion to approve that?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Madam Clerk?
I have a motion made by Councilwoman Estimate Irvin to approve the item at tab K. The motion was seconded by Councilman Galvin. Councilwoman Estimate Irvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Desame, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilwoman Keys, how do you vote?
Yes,
Mayor Bieneme, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilman Galvin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Item passes with a 5-0 vote on first reading.
Thank you.
Tab L, discussion item regarding the selection process for the city manager position.
Thank you very much. It's just a discussion item, and Personnel Director, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Joe Roglieri, Personnel Director.
Yes, what do you got?
So, what I have is, this is your process. This is the time for you to discuss what you'd like to do. The only thing I would say is there's only one thing you can't do, and that's discuss it among yourselves. This is a sunshine item. It has to be discussed in the public in a forum just like this one.
Okay. And okay. How many applicants?
109.
109.
You've been provided with all the applicants via electronic means. You've had a chance to review them, if you chose to.
Okay, now we want to hear from council members how to move forward with 109 applicants, what we got to do. And let's go one by one. Let's start with Councilwoman Keys.
no, go the other way.
Hmm?
Start at that end. Start at
What?
She wants to hedge her bets.
I want to hear from you.
Okay.
Go ahead. I always, no,
Okay,
we always.
Fine, I don't care. I looked at all the applicants. Some were absolutely ridiculous, but I saw quite a few that were very good, and I saw a few more that were good. And so I think there's at least 20 people there that are worth taking a look at.
Okay.
So what we have to do, I guess, if that's what everybody wants to do, is form a committee. I would like your recommendation as to how we form a committee and who should be on it. I'd rather not residents be on it, but you need a committee to, I mean, some of the applications just absolutely don't meet the criteria, but with municipal experience, education, et cetera. So I don't think there's that many, and the committee will just look at it and then bring them back to us like we did the last time, and we'll interview and make a selection if we find someone we like.
That's it.
That's it.
Councilman Scott.
I mean, there's no right or wrong way to do this. I've probably sat through every incarnation that's possible. If we've got 109 applications, staff, is there any way that you would suggest to winnow that down outside of a committee? Here's the thing, I'd like us to get a new manager as quickly as possible. And by appointing a committee, that means we need to have an open enrollment period and come back and we appoint, and they have to schedule meetings, and if they don't have quorum, that could go on. I'm worried about it going on for a long time. So professionally, is there any, I mean, we had some people who were literally cashiers at Walgreens who applied for this. And I'm not saying that to be funny. That's the scope of what we got here. Some that didn't even have high school degrees. Is there a way to professionally winnow it down to,
Can I,
That's mean you are in agreement with Councilwoman Keys to bring it down to
yeah, I
the
mean,
most qualified people?
109 down to 10, and then we interview the 10. But it will be beastly if this council has to try to figure out how to winnow 109 down to 10.
It's easy. We're gonna eliminate all those people who doesn't meet the minimum requirement. That's what we do on every hiring. That's mean you did the first selection is to remove all those who doesn't meet the minimum requirement, and after that, you come up to a list, and maybe you try to shrink the list based on guideline.
Did we advertise a minimum requirement?
Yes, we did.
Yes.
We did.
Then I would suggest then for future that
You don't even see.
we don't have to see all the rest. We don't have to see the cashiers
Yeah.
at Walgreens and the swimming coaches and stuff like that. And I'm not trying to be funny, but it was stunning. I've sat
Yes.
through a lot of these, and I've never seen a field as weak as this one was overall. And if you can then lop off 90% of them because they don't even meet the minimum requirement, I would suggest that should have been done before they were even given to us.
Don't mind seeing.
can,
That's why we're having the discussion, so we guide them on what to do. Now let's go to Councilwoman. You wanna go to
it's 3,
Councilman?
4, or you want to do it?
It's
up to
either
you.
whoever.
You let me go.
I'll
Okay,
swap
go ahead.
order.
I'm looking at my screen. I'm a little devastated. But anyhow, Joe, going to
Feel the
never
burn,
mind.
Alan. Feel the
I know,
burn.
right?
Feel the burn.
You wanna say what?
Anyhow, I do like the idea where Councilman Galvin is going, but as well as I'm hearing the same echo as Councilwoman Keys. I would like it as soon as possible. I like that direction. And I don't know if Councilman Galvin, if that's feeling the burns, or you just throwing some shades, because literally one of them kind of live in the same household who applied. So we have those applicants. However, going through the emails, remember, I think you sent me both links or one link, and I didn't know how to open the other one. I like the second badge, I guess the one that was emailed directly versus, but there's some from each one. I hear the number 10, perhaps, if we could, I'm just putting this out there. If you do that, I think you knock down probably 80% or 85% of them. The ones who currently have, either local government experience and the education, whatever that minimum education is, I think right there, or, those who've been in at least a city, either our side or larger, because I've seen some where the city is 4,000 people or 6,000 people, obviously, and their budget is $20 million, which is lower than a department. So I think if you put those kind of equation in, the higher than 60,000 residents and more than $150 million budget and current, you know, in the last 5 or 10 years, however you determine what current is, must have some type of experience, either local, federal, what local, county, whatever you want to determine that experience. I think you'll knock down a large number from those.
Thank you. So basically, I want to did almost everything everyone says, with the exception that I think that as mayor and council, it's our duty to select. So I think especially if we want to expedite a city manager, that we should not have a committee. We should decide among ourselves and base, if we reduce it to the most qualified. So what I'm hearing from you, Vice Mayor, is that there is at least 5 years experience. Is that was my understanding?
I'm saying whatever,
We advertised.
yeah, whatever we advertise
advertise.
would be, but I guess the ones with current experience, because it's one thing if you were a city manager 20 years ago, or county or something, you know, or work with the state, and not saying that if you retire you don't have the experience, but I think you kind of, if we kind of want to narrow down the list, you got to go by, you know, the population of folks, the number of people that they served, and the number of budgets, the amount of money that they have managed. So I was just giving some guidelines. And I do have one question for you, Joe, but go ahead after you're done.
Actually, you made me forget.
Go ahead.
But go
you
ahead.
forgot your question? There was, going through the
Oh, I know.
the list that you provided, the 109, there was 102, I don't know if it's by mistake, and maybe I'm not seeing it wrong, that's not on the list, but there's application for it. So I think it might have been because it was so nicely put together in alphabetically order. So there was one person, and I don't know if you want me to share it with you now or later. If there's two of them, I don't see the names here. That was, you know, I see the applications, but that's just, I guess that's just.
So you're saying that you got the application from us, but we didn't have them on the list?
No, you sent me the two links, the one that came from our website and the one that came from email.
Okay.
You remember I asked you to give me a list of all the applicants, just the names, and so that's why I was just going by and kind of checking. There was probably two that were not on the.
I think we can talk off-site.
Okay,
But let me just
perfect.
make
I
sure
think
everybody
that's what it
understands
is.
what we're talking about, and that the public also understands. We received applications via two mechanisms. They were either emailed directly to my employment and benefits manager, or they could use a NeoGov system and apply online. So that's what we're talking about, the two ways to apply.
Okay. So once this list is narrowed down, how long will it take? I would like to request that we get this list this week. So whatever the process is, so that if it's the will of my colleagues, that we can probably have that in our next council meeting, if that's the will
So
of the
I would
board.
say this, you could certainly get it by the next council meeting, but I'm leaving tomorrow morning to go to Cabo for my daughter's wedding, and I won't be able to work on it until I get back from there.
Are you the only person that can do this?
So I would expect that I would be one of the 2 or 3 people. I have 2 other people on my staff that I would do it along with, and we would like to come to consensus, so that 3 of us are coming to consensus on it. But I
Okay,
will
but,
certainly be back in time to get this
yeah, but
before the next council
The
meeting.
thing is, we're gonna give direction to the department, then you will dispatch whatever you please. It's gonna be up to you.
I don't understand.
And,
I'm sorry, what do you mean, Mayor?
no, I'm talking to the director. Are we done?
Just
The direction now, from what I understand, that's mean you're gonna eliminate all the people who doesn't meet the minimum requirement. That would be the first thing.
So I'll reiterate what I understand the council's direction is that staff will evaluate all the applicants and bring forward those who meet the minimum qualifications
No.
as stated in the announcement.
No, we're gonna tell you,
Yeah,
we're not done yet.
Okay,
It's two steps.
right.
You're gonna eliminate all those who doesn't meet the minimum requirement. And after that, based on the size of the city of North Miami.
Suggestion size, I think, if we're trying to get to the 90, because or that.
What you mean to get to
No,
the
to
90?
get to the 90, eliminate to that 10%. You're gonna have to either
And
do it by,
they
you
propose
know.
20 people, the top 20
It may be
candidates.
less, or it may be more. I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever that number might
That
be.
would be the average.
Yeah, whatever that number might be from the 109, but for you to get there, you have to give some more
The guidelines,
criterias.
you got to know the size of the
Yeah.
city, you know, all those things, budget, managing budget, and what was the budget and all those things, experience, and to come up with a list of 20 people, the top 20 people, so we can choose at the next council meeting. I think the thing, what you got to do is to do that within a week, and then you give us the list for interview. Anybody want to interview, they can call for interview, and the 20, and then we can come up.
Is it phone or in person?
Whatever
or
you whatever
Skype?
you wanna do, it's you.
Oh,
They give you the list, and if you wanna do by phone, if you want them to set up appointments, it's up to you. From the list, if you wanna interview all 20s, if you
If I
wanna
could
interview
suggest
10s.
something at this point, once we come up with a shorter list, which is a list of those who seem to meet the qualifications that you've just espoused to me, that we then have another public hearing, and you discuss at that meeting whether you want to invite all of that
Wait,
group,
No, 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 no.
or
no.
if you want to
No,
narrow
no,
it.
no, no, this is what we told you. First of all, you're gonna eliminate those who doesn't meet the minimum qualification.
Okay?
And secondly, you're gonna review the rest and see if you can come up with the top 20 candidates.
or less, right?
Yeah, up
Whatever.
20 or less. And then you're gonna share it with us, and we decided who we wanna call for interview. All 5 of us.
Okay.
And it will come for at the next council meeting for a choice.
Can I clarify? So based on the criteria, we set forth, let's just say out of the one, whatever that number is 20 or 30. Because looking at that list and reviewing some of them, it's gonna be up there with, as far as, in terms of them with, I don't know what the minimum requirement was, but if it's a bachelor, whatever the case is, but you have some with a lot of different experiences. So unless we really putting that cap where you could narrow it down, we're gonna end up with 30 or maybe more. You don't think so? Okay, then if what Council, Woman Keys is saying, that's fine.
When you're gonna
between
put the
that and-
size of the city, budget
The budget.
managing and all those things to be like in line with the city of North Miami, I think it's gonna be around 20.
Is it only folks within the government experience, or,
Of course.
okay.
So it did specify a department director level or
Yes,
above
yes,
in the
yes,
announcement.
yes. Yeah, if they're director, they manage, 100 and something million, yeah, that would, I don't think it's like like Councilwoman Key said, it's that many once you put those criteria.
When you say the top 20 or less,
Yeah.
that's
So, yeah, let's let them,
Yeah.
the
Let's
quicker you
decide
guys
what
can
the
move on
number
this,
is.
the easier it'll be for us to
I
figure
think,
it out,
yeah, I don't
Can
think
I-
2
can I
weeks
ask
is,
Question, so, are these, allowed to be posted online? Or is this private?
posted one.
all the
So
applications.
it's all public record.
It's all public
It's all
record?
public
All the
record.
application.
Can we post it online?
So
Why?
Post
there's
what?
exceptions to the public records law. If any of them were law enforcement before this, then we would not be posting a law enforcement officer's address. So it depends on their individual prior background. So there's certain exemptions to public records law.
So can we present,
So
I've had
here's-
several people ask me, who are these people? We need to get those things out.
I have a list
Even
of
if it's
names.
redacted.
Certainly the names are all
Yes.
public record. Addresses
yeah, that's
may
a little
not
bit,
be.
Right.
yeah.
That's what
That-
I'm concerned with, there's a lot of private information, I would like the names,
Yes.
the
Names are all public record.
But Councilwoman, if we just were to put the names up, that
That
won't
doesn't
mean
mean
anything
anything,
to
no.
anybody,
I mean,
right?
no, I
So
mean,
I think we should
That's
put
why I'm
the
asking,
full-
what can we actually put out? Or maybe someone should go
yeah,
through
redact it for
and
those
redact
10
it and
people
do it.
that-
Can, the 10, the list of 10, or all of them, Council?
I'm being asked for all of them.
All
I
of
think
them?
some people
May I-
don't believe me when I say
Can
they're
they-
Walgreens cashiers
can-
who applied.
Councilman
May I
Galvin,
suggest-
can those people email Joe, like, the director, I'm sorry, and he could forward
Not-
the,
not any
because the
more than-
file was so big. The link for, you know, it's one of them is 382 pages and one is 180 something. So you got 500
Do
pages.
we have any,
Yeah.
did we have any law enforcement? I don't remember if we had
I
one.
didn't
That's
look
so
at the
one.
qualifications.
Reading through one of them, I could think of who said they were.
If we
someone.
could redact, I don't think it would be, you know.
May I suggest?
Yeah, but the discussion after,
The
for
person
when
with
it
just
comes
the high school education, no law
for
enforcement.
public records, after that we can decide it, what we're gonna consider public record. The department can put it out, but the direction that we are giving you is to eliminate whoever doesn't meet the minimum requirement, and secondly, if you can shrink the list to the top 20 or less.
Okay.
And make it available for us to do interview next week.
So
we
this
can-
will be much more easy to facilitate sending to you because the file will be smaller.
Yes, and then we will have it by Monday, and then we have a week for interview, and we put it on the agenda.
You're not gonna interview in the next week.
Yeah.
Not with what's going on in our country.
What do you mean? We're gonna,
People
by
are
the
not
next council,
traveling,
I
you know.
think
we're
it's
gonna do it
by
over the
April.
phone or Skype or whatever it is.
But
Yeah.
if we're gonna legitimate, and I'll go with it if you wanna do it in 2 weeks, but I don't think we'll legitimately be able to corral
If
20
he
different
says-
people for,
Yeah.
you know,
From
5
across the
different
country,
phone
no.
interviews
So
from.
We
maybe
doesn't,
by
no,
April,
we're gonna,
by the first
we're
week of
gonna give
April?
everybody the file. You can decide it to interview 5 of them or 6 of them. You doesn't have to conduct interview on
No,
all
but
20.
Mr. Mayor, if they want to interview all of them, or at least all of them, so perhaps the next, with your professional experience, if you put
Alex, if you tell them this is what you want, that's
no,
it.
I know, but I'm saying just schedule-wise, if he does put it out this week, that's not the
What he
debating
need to
question.
put out.
I'm saying if you give us the names this week or whenever, we would need at least a week or a week and a half to kind of do the interview or have somebody from the office. So perhaps maybe the next one, we won't have everything together, but definitely I think we should shoot for maybe perhaps the first week of whatever that council meeting is, April. Would that be, yeah, that would be reasonable, the first week, because we got 3 weeks to interview. If somebody want to come in, you know, whatever the case is, and who knows if we're gonna have a meeting the next
We're
week.
talking serious.
Well,
you
this
still,
is serious.
you still
I
have
mean,
to making sure we're here
Yes.
to give the police gasoline and to put chlorine in the water and
well,
the water plant. That's when we gotta find. We're not from a third world country. We have to be here, whatever it is. We cannot say.
No,
Yes.
my recommendation, Mr. Mayor, is with what Councilman Galvin said, that the personnel department give us the short list of whatever, I think you say 20, by this week, and then we take the
20 or
next
less.
week.
What about if they give
Whatever.
you 3 people from
No,
the
then
list?
it's 3 people, then.
That's what we said. We give them a week to do that. They're gonna give us the list, and we're gonna decide who we wanna interview.
It's just the time frame that's a little bit short, by next week. And I think
To
we
give
all.
you the list.
No, not the list. The list, I think he said he could do it despite him being out by this week. That's not the problem. It's the interview you said you want to do.
When you have the
interview and
list, you
everything.
can choose to do whatever you want. If you wanna do
No,
interview or
when do you want to
20s,
decide though on
next
the,
council meeting.
that's
I
what
think
I
that's
think.
a little too aggressive. I think,
Perhaps the first
Yeah.
week of April.
It been there, how long been having that? It's,
if you've already decided who
3
you
months,
want,
it's
that's
90
one
days.
thing, but I don't think that we can actually interview everybody else and get them
But-
lined up.
you don't have
First
to
week of
interview
April.
everybody.
I've done, this will be my 11th manager.
Oh
I
my
hate that I
God.
have to keep saying stuff like that, but I don't see us being able to, even if it's down to 5 people
Okay,
and
can-
all 5 of, to be able to
Okay.
do all that within 2
Okay,
weeks.
the direction is to give us the list by, a small list by next week on Monday.
We
Thank
can do
you.
that. We can do
Thank
that.
you very much, sir. Thank you.
So we agreed the first week of, the first
No,
council
we're
meeting in
gonna have
April.
we're gonna have the list by next week.
By
You will
March
decide what you wanna do with it. Thank you very much, and where
No,
we
but-
at?
Okay, are we done with that discussion?
When you have it, you decide what you wanna do
Yeah,
with
I
it.
know, but Mr. Manager, I don't want us to come in here the next meeting assuming that we do, we are gonna do something. If we're gonna do it, we saying, let's do it in the first week of April. which will give us
What
enough
first week of
time.
April? There's
Whatever
no
that
council
meeting is.
meeting the
Isn't
first
there?
week of April.
What's the first? What's the
Tuesday.
first meeting?
Second Tuesday, April.
14,
Yeah.
April
Or
14.
April 14th. Is that April? That's
April
the
14th.
before tax day, so that's a good day.
It's gonna
to-
it's gonna be Easter.
Oh, is it Easter?
Yeah.
Easter
Okay.
Sunday, the week before?
Easter.
Okay, that's just my
April is
recommendation.
Easter.
Okay, however we decide.
Thank you. We're gonna have the list by Monday, and so you can discuss with the manager what you wanna do with it. And right, we're gonna open citizen forum. Citizen forum is now open. Thank you.
William Prevotel, 11950 North Bay Shore Drive. I'm gonna just ramble through a few things. First, I don't know if anybody noticed, but the Saudis are pumping more oil in order to get back at the Russians and the American shale oil. That has brought the price of oil down about 1/3 of what it was per barrel. That's bringing the prices down, leading to our city. If our city has the capacity, if we have the fuel tank capacity, we should stockpile fuel during the next few months. Not tomorrow or next week, but it will be going down. Will go down for a number of months as they continue this. Next thing is the stock market. Our own particular area, North Miami, is very vulnerable to the current contagion. We're a tourist industry city. We have cruise ships, we have hotels, restaurants, flights coming in and out, and the like, sporting events, other major events like Ultra being canceled. That's going to affect our local economy. It's going to affect us pretty big. It's hundreds of millions of dollars that'll be taken out of the economy. This is, the virus will go away at some point. It's not going away soon. It's going to get worse before it gets better. My point before that I was trying to make was that it's really bizarre that we do not bring more attention to this. It did not start in Italy. It started in China. Somebody, a single person or one or two people in Italy had it, and all of a sudden it became a major event. All it took was a few people, it becomes a major event. Why don't we use that as an example and do lockdown here, more measures? We should probably limit our council meetings. We should probably be doing this by call-ins so that you guys stay safe, but maybe we keep us out. So it's really something that we should consider. And also, it's the seniors that are pretty much most vulnerable. And if I may say, the seniors.
You have to have an in-person quorum under state law.
They might build it. But let me point out that maybe it's not being taken so seriously because the seniors are most vulnerable. Who costs the most to our society? Seniors. Wouldn't it be convenient to let them all die out, or however many we can, 1 out of 5 when they get it? Wouldn't that be convenient? And for those who are laughing, let me point out, the CDC made a recommendation this week, 2 days ago. CDC, a neutral organization, made the recommendation to have a travel advisory for seniors, that seniors should not travel. What happened to that advisory? Did you hear it? That advisory was canceled by the White House. The White House took a political action so that other people could, in fact, get harmed. It's something to really to think about and to wake up about. Now, I was wondering why you were upset before when I said, and I used the quote, stable genius, and I was wondering why you were upset, because I was using a quote, and I quoted it wrong. It's President Very Stable Genius, so I apologize for forgetting the very. But President Very Stable Genius has our back, and we'll soon have many people in the grave. We need to look out for ourselves. Everybody will have it, every Publix, every Costco, every meeting. At some point, there'll be somebody contaminated in this hearing room. Keep it in mind. Thank you.
I don't know if we could follow that.
Public hearing is now. Public hearing is.
Can I just want to say something. I don't know who you referring to, but I've been hearing the administration, they did, in fact, they're the one who said don't travel. I heard it myself from the vice president regarding if you're senior, their advice is not to travel. So that part I'm hearing.
Look for the CDC statement.
Oh, okay, well, that's a whole different.
White House knocked out the CDC.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Hello. Laura Hill, 13075 Griffin Boulevard. For this comment, I'm just representing the coalition of the homeowners associations in the city of North Miami. What we're presenting is a letter of dissatisfaction and a sort of no confidence in our Park and Rec director. We want to show on record a support for the North Miami Jaguars. We're very disappointed in the situation, and we want to make it clear that this situation does not reflect the spirit of the community of North Miami. We're asking our acting city manager to take our community's opinion into consideration and act in such a way which is in keeping with the spirit of the community. And we would like to express our support for the Optimist team, and we look forward to a new era in the Parks and Recs as a unified city of homeowners association. So thank you very much.
Okay, Sarah McDevitt, 14490 Northeast 10th Avenue. I'm here representing the North Miami Parks and Rec Board, and I'll just read the letter that we also would like to present to Mayor and Council and the City Manager. It just says, we, members of the Parks and Rec Board, find it important that we issue a public statement. It has not escaped our attention that the Director of our Parks and Recreation Department is under an ethics investigation now being managed by the county. We're thankful the process is being carried out by an independent party and expect the results of that investigation will determine the city's next course of action. Our city's park system is our crown jewel, the places where young and old gather, where our community is created. As one board member put it so well, the citizens of North Miami deserve someone who is beyond reproach. Looking forward to a day in the near future where positive things about our city's parks are in the news. Thank you.
Spirit fingers.
Public hearing is now closed. Citizen forum is now closed since there is nobody show up. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, reports?
Yes, two things. One, would like to invite everybody to our outside Getting Gear bike ride Saturday morning. Should be a nice ride. We're all not in close proximity. Our new juice restaurant Guarapo is going to be one of our sponsors, and Solomea is planning a nice stop for us also to see and show off the new lagoon and property. So I hope you'll all join us. I think it'll be a nice, safe place that we can have a nice ride Saturday morning. Hope to see you. On the second note, I would like to thank staff and Mayor, Councilman Galvin, for all the participation and work our city has done with regard to the coronavirus. Our city is, I think it's been amazing. We're all really taking it seriously. The place is clean, the hand sanitizers, staff, everybody is very aware, and we are doing our best. We're being proactive to make sure that our employees stay safe and we don't transmit anything. And I think it will get worse before it gets better. But I think staff is really taking it seriously. Our mayor and manager went to the county Mayor Jimenez's special meeting. Commander Brinson with the emergency management, and Natasha, you're getting information out to the citizens, and very valuable. Last week, a lot of good blasts came. Our website, our Facebook, a lot of good information. Please keep it coming, and I've requested that we have a link on our website right at the top, so anybody can just go to our website. I'm hoping it's instituted sooner than later. Just hit a button, links to all the different things. So thank you. I think our city's really doing a good job with that.
No report, Mr. Mayor.
Nothing about coronavirus?
No. We've spent a lot of time on it.
Councilwoman Maristime Yuve. You three. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay, yeah, but I have no issues. Good evening, everyone. As of this is in reference to the census. We're counting on you. My colleagues and I have mentioned throughout 2019, 2020 that the census is important, and when you respond, you help our community generate resources to serve our daily needs. Through our advocacy, we've mentioned that documents will be coming to your home this year, and the time has come now. So March 12th, you should be receiving questionnaires to fill out for the census. And if you have any questions or need assistance in our city, has prepared multiple locations, of course, in District 3, and Griffin Center is one of them. And there'll be toll-free numbers, information in English, Spanish, and all. So we are counting on you to really participate and encourage your neighbors and everyone to participate. Also, I want to wish all of the women and other men that support the women a happy Women's History Month. I salute all women, young and wise. We are all tall, we are all short, we are round, we are slim, we are intelligent, we are dynamic, we are bilingual, we are daughters, sisters, wives, aunts, mothers, and grandmothers. We are professional caregivers, head of household, and we are fierce. So I thank you, women.
You didn't say they are wife.
And I guess we're wise, right? Okay, also, I would like, March 31st, we're having a Women's Empowerment Network, and it's going to be held at FIU Biscayne Park on the campus of Chaplain School of Hospitality. For more information, you can email District 3 at northmiami.gov. You probably received an email with information as well on that. Mr. Mayor, talk about coronavirus. I would be remiss if I did not speak about the coronavirus. Residents, please be calm but vigilant. Take notes on the health guidance, washing your hands, covering your mouth, just like the health officials mentioned. And, just use sanitizers and just pay attention to the notices that we are getting from the county that we'll be providing to you. And that's all. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I yield back.